Beautiful humans, welcome back to the I Like Birds podcast. I'm your host, Zach Rippey, and this podcast is dedicated to the non-believers, the confused believers, and the true believers. Because I, at one time or another, was all three. So I'm here to help you get a better understanding of who Jesus is and what he's all about. I'd love to grow in our faith together. You learn as I learn. I like the Bible, and I like words, so therefore, I like birds. Let's start the show. Beautiful humans, welcome back to another episode of the I Like Birds podcast. I'm so excited that you're here, and I hope God is doing some amazing things in your life, and you're really putting him first, and I hope that you're seeing the fruits of those things and the blessings of those things unravel in your life. And if you're going through a hard time, keep coming back to God, because I promise you it will be worth it. And I'm super excited about this episode specifically because this is a special moment in the I Like Birds podcast, because this is the first time we've ever had a guest, and I'm so excited about it because it is my good buddy Wes Rasmussen, and this whole episode is about friendship and just the beauty of it and connecting with other people, whether it be believers or non-believers. It's so important to keep friendships and people in your life that you can influence, because he was one of those people that were in my life that influenced me. He didn't even really know it. He was just being a light and just a believer in Jesus, and he really just was a kickstarter in my faith. And we talk about that. We talk about so many things, about being confident, about being bold, about just doing more, and really just connecting with people. He has a great website, which is more of so of a blog. It's called lifeofwar.co. I really recommend you go check out some of his writings, because he's a great writer and he's a great dude with a great heart. And we had a conversation over Zoom, so the audio might not be as good as it is right now, like I am on the microphone, but I encourage you to power through, because there's so much gems in it and such a good convo. And I really just want you guys to really enjoy this episode and feel like you're just being in the room of the conversation. If you're here for Wes, thank you for being here. Check out some past episodes or some future episodes by subscribing. And I really just appreciate you guys, and I really hope you enjoy the conversation. Here it is, me and my boy Wes Rasmussen. I just wanted to kind of tell you some things that were on my heart as to like why I wanted you on this podcast, man, and you as the first guest specifically, because I think that it's so important to have somebody in your life that really like loves and values Jesus, and kind of like just is a light. And you've never really pushed Jesus on me at all. You know, you've just always been like, you've just led by example of like what you think and what you believe. And man, this whole episode, I just really want it to be about the simple idea of friendship, because we all know that when it goes deeper than that. You know, when you love God, it goes deeper than that. And if you have a friend that believes in this, I really think that you look at that friend differently and better, kind of like in your heart, than you do your other friends for some reason. And I don't care if you see that other friend more. I just feel like the friend that you have that does believe in Jesus has a bigger impact on your heart. And you, man, you're one of those people to me. And you've always been that way. And we don't talk a lot as much as we used to. But dude, in my heart, those like few months that we hung out together meant more than you'll ever know. And you were like my Kickstarter in my relationship with Jesus. Like you sparked something in me each time we were around each other. And even if we were like talking nonsense, right? And you were talking something you knew I didn't know, it was that you knew about Jesus, and you knew how much like God loved me, how much he loved you, and the unknowing of how much I needed that. And deep down, always loved God for the life that he's given me. I always knew that God was God, but I didn't know who Jesus was at the time. And my heart of faith is making my life kind of flipped upside down in ways I never would have imagined. And I feel like I can't do the things I used to enjoy, because all I want to do is like get closer and deeper in my relationship with God. And I'm just excited for the whole idea of a friendship and what it means to you. And I just wanted to kind of pick your brain about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, I really appreciate you like pumping me up like that. I feel like it's crazy because like kind of to like your point, like I don't always feel like I'm like super intentional about like being like a Jesus freak, or just like pushing my faith on people. Like I don't really intentionally ever try to do that. And there's times where I even feel convicted that maybe I should be be more intentional about like having discussions and letting people know like where I put my identity in and things like that. But I'm always caught off guard because people like yourself like will hit me up and say, man, I really appreciate you being somebody just to encourage me in my life and things like that. And so that always, like, I mean, I'm pumped for you, to be
Yeah.
honest,
Thank you,
that
man.
you're like taking taking these like really bold steps, and that you've started to really like kind of like zone in on that aspect of your life. And so the fact that I'm like a part of it is like super encouraging to me, because it makes me realize like even the really little things, or like the small conversations, or just like, maybe just like the way that I carry myself really does impact people more than I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, but to kind of like dive into the topic of friendship, man, friends are like super important to me.
Yeah, I've always noticed
I
that about you.
Yeah, like I think even more so than maybe the average person. Like I I've always valued, and not just like having a lot of friends, but just like having quality friends and having people that like I feel I can go to and have discussions about anything. And not all my friends are like that. Like I have a lot of buddies that, I don't really have deep discussions with, but they just make me laugh, man, and they just give
Yeah.
a different sense of energy and like humor in my life that I need it. And then I have
Mm-hmm.
some buddies that are like just great, like people to just have just deep discussions with, or people that I can have an open heart about like what I'm going through in life, whether it's, marriage or family, whatever it is. So I think like I've always just valued having really good quality friendships, and I kind of know where each of my friends kind of lie in my life, and like the role
Yeah.
that they play. And so but yeah, man, like friends are like I'm one of those people that like sometimes would rather hang out with a group of friends than even my own family.
Really? Yeah. I
Like
feel you on that.
and like that's no knock on my family. Like I love my family, but like I just love spending time with my friends that much. So
Dang.
so yeah, I mean,
I saw that in your wedding, you had so many groomsmen.
yeah.
What is that because of your just closeness with your friends, or was that just to make like kind of the numbers even? Like what was up with that? That's just a me question real quick. But I saw there was so
Yeah.
many. I was like, dang, they're rolling deep. How much
Yeah,
did you
we
have?
had 9. I think we
9?
had 9. Yeah. So all of those dudes that were in my wedding were like guys that like were either best friends in the past to me, or are like present like best friends, but a lot of them have played a really big role in my life at some point in time.
Mhm.
And and so the amount was mainly a Leah thing. Like
Yeah,
she was like she's like, I can't not have these girls. Where she
yeah,
would have been like, I think 5 is good. I would have made it work. I would have tried to at least.
yeah,
But I was like cool when she was like, yeah, I think like 8 or 9 bridesmaids is what I'm thinking of. I was like, oh cool, I got 8 or 9 guys, like no problem at all.
yeah. There you go. That's so
So
funny. And would
yeah.
were all of them? Because I knew a few of them up there, and I know a few of them are believers in Jesus. Are would you say all of them are, what would you say about that? Were all your best friends up
Um,
there believers?
Most of them are. Yeah, I think all of them either have a relationship with God, or um at least acknowledge that he is God. Maybe they don't have like a personal relationship with him.
Yeah,
Um but yeah, all of my but I mean 3 of them I think are pastors, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah,
yeah,
3 of them are actually pastors. So
yeah.
um so yeah, they were solid, man.
Yeah.
I had a solid group of dudes. They
Does
made me look
that
too good.
does that does that matter to you that they were believers? Because I feel like I noticed when you left our previous employer, Outback Steakhouse, that you really like switched to like not only going to Radiant more. I feel like you became more connected with the people that were at Radiant, and you kind of switched friend groups in a nonchalant way, and not in a disrespectful way at all. You just kind of moved on from our like little circle, and then you moved on to Radiant, who were obviously there's some believers in there. And did you find that that was more of like the type of people you wanted to be around just because you were pursuing Jesus?
Um I think like yes and no. I think that like like Outback and that group of friends who are still like, I would consider a lot of them like friends. Like I still, I still see, Cody and Madison here and there. Obviously I would stay connected with you. I ran into, um, uh, I forget her name. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Tina?
She's tight with you.
Tina.
Yeah. I ran into Tina at the convention center like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would still consider like a lot of them friends. I think that was just a season of my life where like that's the environment that I was in a lot of times, just because it was my job. And then I wasn't as plugged into a church community as much as I was after I moved on from Outback. And so when I really like plugged myself into Radiant and found that church and really decided to become a member and like be consistent with, with that church, is when I started to like make really good friendships. And that's one thing that's really unique about Radiant, is that they just have a really awesome community, and there's always opportunities to like get together with people that are in the same stage of life. So yes and no. Like I think that like me pursuing God on another level made me want to and put myself in that environment more. But I would never say that like I was trying to like disconnect from anybody else. I think it was just a season of my life where I was hanging around a group of people based on the environment that I was in more because of work and stuff. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because
So,
I've even like, because of the world being so weird right now, it's like I'm having a hard time knowing like where I stand with people, because I just don't really know, because I'm not around people as much as anymore, because of like, comedy's gone, my job has been gone, so I don't really, and I live in Texas instead of Florida now. So it's like, I feel like everybody's lives are so different right now that it's kind of been weird to like pursue Jesus, and then it feels like you're losing people, but it's like I don't know if I'm actually losing people, or if it's just the world's weird right now and it just feels that way.
yeah.
So I was kind of just and it talks about in the Bible how important it is to find friendships that share the same faith as you, like other believers and whatnot. And I'm not saying to like outcast everybody that doesn't, not at all, but I am saying that I do appreciate the friendships I do have, that people that do love Jesus, and I think that it's important to grow in your faith with your friends and family that are believers, because you learn from one another, So it's just been real interesting to like pursue him and actually like really just think and see and kind of observe those things,
Yeah, no, this has been a really weird time for everybody. Like, I mean, being somebody that like really enjoys just being with people. Like if you've ever done like that 5 love languages quiz and read that book, like I'm a quality time person.
Yeah.
So the fact that I haven't been able to like have as much quality time with people, and it started to like kind of get a little bit more normal like recently here in Florida, but yeah, man, like it's weird. Like you feel like, to your point, because like you're not spending as much time with these people, and you're not doing life with some of these people that you were doing life with for so long, you almost feel like a like disconnected, and like I think it's harder for like us too, because we're not like guys, and this is not, I'm not trying to like make generalizations, but I feel like guys are like, we're not like big talkers on the phone, we're more like, let's do something, and like we're quick with texts and stuff like that. So like I feel like when you're not able to be around people as much, it's harder for guys, because that's like, we're not gonna like chat on the phone for hours like maybe girls typically would.
Right.
But like some guys might do that. I'm not one of those guys that does that all the time.
Nah,
So.
yeah, it's like I'm in a rush to get off the phone.
Yeah.
Every time I do talk, I'm like, I could probably be doing something else at this moment. Are you? So you say you're a member of Radiant? How's that been for you?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been awesome. I've been going there for like close to 4 years, and I've had an opportunity to like serve in different areas within what they call their dream team, which are pretty much people that serve on Sundays and that are a part of different aspects of the church. And so I've been
nice.
able to get involved in different things there. And then I've had some opportunities to be a part of the creative team and to do some cool dancey type, performancey things, being that, Leah and I we're all right at dancing. So we've had some fun with that. So
y'all's wedding video was awesome, man. It got shared so many times. How much views did it end up getting?
I think I like close to 4,000.
Dang, that's
which
incredible.
is like, for me, that's big clout, dude. Like,
yeah, of course, dude.
Like, I'm like,
that's
normally
juicy,
getting 200-300 views.
4,000,
felt so famous for a little bit.
Yeah, you're like, are you the guy from that dancing video? Dude, that's awesome. What have you been up to as far as life and whatnot, and through everything, and how's your experiences been with like COVID and now riots and all
so
that?
luckily I've been like blessed to still have a job and continue working through the pandemic. There's been like a difference in like my schedule and like where I'm working, because I'm working from home for the most part. So that's been an adjustment. I mean, it's so crazy because like if I were to have somebody come up to me like before I got married and say, hey, Wes, just so you know, like a month after you get married, you're going to like have like all this extra time to spend with your wife that you've never like typically had, because you're going to be working from home and you guys' schedules are going to be more aligned with each other. And you're just going to have a lot more quality time with each other than you would if like there was no pandemic. If someone were to come up and say that to me, I'd be like, oh my God, like that's so awesome. Like,
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Like, oh, it's going to be so great for like our marriage. And we're just going to like get so much closer than we would if like there was no pandemic. But it's had like this weird like effect on us. And we like, I mean, we're fine. Like everything's great, but like, it's weird. Cause like you'd think spending more time around each other, at least initially after getting married, would be like super beneficial. But I think that like, to your point, something that's so important to both my wife and I is being around friends and doing things. And like, that's one of the things that like, I think helped us like grow closer together and fall in love and like just people. Like that's like, we're people. So like the fact that we weren't able to like enjoy each other's company doing those things that like we typically did, it made it really challenging for us. And so we're good. Like we've been able to do just fine through it, but it's definitely had its fair share of challenges that like I don't think we could have ever expected, like going through that.
Yeah. So, how is Leah plugged into the church as well?
She's done a little bit of like connect. We have like this connect team, and so she's done some serving in that role. She's been kind of side by side with me doing creative things when we've had opportunities to at the church. So so that's been cool. Like when we were dating, and even like early on in our engagement, we were serving on the connect team together. And so it was really cool to be able to do that with her.
Is that how you guys met?
No, we actually met through a really close friend of mine that I played football with at SCU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, through his now wife, which is her cousin.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, now I got like a really close friend from college that's now like essentially family.
Yeah, like a brother-in-law?
No.
Not married yet?
He'd be a cousin because his wife is my wife's cousin.
Oh, okay.
He'd be like a third or fourth cousin or whatever that's called.
Yeah. Weird, but you still see him.
Yeah.
We still kick it.
Yeah, we're still
pretty tight. We still run routes on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about a few things as far as how important it is to you for believers to be confident, and then you talked about being relatable and being expectant. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So like kind of going back to this like topic, and like really like one of the reasons why you wanted to like loop me into this was just like the friendship that we've had over the years, and like the fact that we've had common ground with like our love for God. and just like even the small conversations that we've had, that have been like deep and just like they're different to your point,
Yeah.
And so I was kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking about like, what are some things that I think like if I could, for people that are like listening, or even like to just kind of remind myself, like, what are some things that I think are super important for like really every Christian, but like I think even more so like younger Christians like ourselves, at
Mm-hmm.
least in age, to really like make sure that we're being mindful of. And I put it in like an order, but like the first thing is just being confident. And so what I mean by that is like not confident in the sense of like, oh, I know I'm going to heaven, but confident in the sense like I can defend what I believe, and I
Yeah.
can have a civil discussion, and I don't need to I don't need to be reactive to people that maybe have a difference in an opinion or beliefs as me. And I think that like we live in a time where like people are really led by their emotions, and like we're very emotionally charged all the time. And I think that we can even see that play out in conversations or maybe even arguments amongst people that have differences in like religion and beliefs. And so I think like one of the first things that and this isn't something that I say I'm a master at. Like this is something that I think I've learned over the years through studying the word and then just through maturing, is like confidence, I think, is super important. And I think that people recognize that in the same way. If we kind of want to relate it to like for example, girls, like they always talk about like, oh, I want a confident guy, like that's a very attractive quality. I think that that same type of confidence that like a girl would want to find in a guy, I think that non-believers, like they can see that in believers. There's a different confidence about them and a different like sense of purpose that they walk with. And um and I think that to go along with that, like and I've learned this through me not being the best with how to really have like a civil discussion, because I've had my moments where I've just kind of let my emotions get the best of me. And so that's why I really wanted to like talk about this, was like that we're 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 filled with faith, right? And like a lot of like what we believe is really based off of faith. And so there's certain things and certain topics that I can't technically prove you wrong or right with, but I have faith in those types of conversations. So if I want to use examples, like, what happens to babies when, if they die, or what happens to people that have never heard about God before, and like different conversations like that. I
Scenarios.
think, yeah, scenarios like that, like debate, like topics that are typically of debate between believers, non-believers, Jews, Christians, Muslims, Christians. I think that there's so much power in just being able to say, you know what, like I never thought about that. Let me get back to you. Let me look this up for myself. Let me take some time and like, let's continue this conversation later, because I've never actually thought of this question or of this topic before. And I want to sharpen my own like knowledge or understanding of what I believe in. I think that's like I've had to learn how to do that even now. And so I talk about like confidence, because I think that when you are confident in what you believe in, that you're not emotionally like led, and you're able to say and kind of step back and be like, okay, you know what, like I think I need to figure this out a little bit more. I think I need to like learn from myself what it is that I really believe in. And so I bring that up because a lot of conversations that I've had with friends that aren't Christians have been in line with what I've talked about in those different types of topics. And I've learned that like the conversations that I've had where I felt like I've been the most impactful, or where I've even grown the most in my faith, aren't the times where I was like really emotional or really defensive and really maybe insecure in like what I was saying. It was the times where I was able to confidently like articulate what it is that I believe and the God that I serve. And then in those moments where I maybe didn't know something, I was able to just like step back and just like be like, all right, yeah, you know what? Like that's a good question. Like, I really don't know. And I think there's like, it's okay for us to say, I don't know sometimes, you know? And so I know I kind of went off on that one, but I think that like talking about friendship, whether it's with believers and non-believers, I think we first need to be confident in what we believe in.
Yeah.
And then I think that being relatable is super, super important as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't blame parents for doing this, but I think that, and it makes sense, but I think that Christians that have been raised in a home that, you know, we're going to go to church on Sundays, we're going to go to church on Wednesdays. And, you know, like, for example, like I was raised in a home like that. And, you know, my parents, you know, put me in, you know, vacation Bible school, like summer, like, you know, youth group retreats, all this type of stuff. I was homeschooled till 3rd grade, and it was a Christian homeschool group. And, you know, I thank my parents for putting me through that and for like raising me up in that, because it really taught me a lot. And I think that it played a huge role in my life when I was like, you know, a teenager and even like into my young adulthood, and the decisions and like the way that I viewed life. But I think that there's something so unique about people who are able to be relatable to other people that maybe don't share the same beliefs as them as well.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget this, but it was my senior year of high school, and I was in a football drill, wide receivers or defensive backs football drill. And I had a really tight group of buddies in high school, and I still do. I still keep in contact with them, but kind of junior and senior year, I wasn't hanging around them as much. And I think a lot of it had to do with like, I was going to church more, and I was spending my time, you know, with the community of people that was at the church. And I wasn't really involving myself as much in the things that like a lot of my friends were getting involved in junior and senior year. And so I was still really tight with them, but I just wasn't around them as much. And I remember one of my buddies was throwing a party, and he was like, "Hey, Wes, you want to come out this weekend?" And I was like, "Nah, man, I'm a Christian. I don't drink and I don't do that stuff." And I remember he was like, "Oh, that's right. You know, I forgot you're so much holier than thou than us." And he went on and did the drill. And I'll never forget that moment, because I realized that like, yes, my parents played a huge role in me being able to value my relationship with God and say, you know what, like, I don't want to do that. I want to honor God. But I wasn't relatable to my friends. Like they weren't able to, like, I couldn't relate to them because they didn't share the same beliefs and the same goals or priorities that I had. And so instead of me being able to like come off in like more of a loving way, I came off arrogant. You know, it was like, okay, you know what? Like, okay, whatever. Yeah, go do your Christian stuff. And so, and I'll always forget that, because I think that I was so wrapped up in that world of just always being around Christian people that when I was starting to like stray away from my non-believers, or like the friends that didn't like go to church and do all the things that I did, I was starting to become unrelatable to them, to the point where like they didn't even want to hang out with me, or what I was doing, the life that I was living wasn't attractive to them because I was so arrogant in how I was going about things. And so, and I think that going to SEU, a Christian college, has also kind of affirmed my thoughts on this too. I think that like you can get so plugged into this like atmosphere of like only surrounding yourself around Christians and thinking that like
well, I need to make sure that I'm not like putting myself in an environment where I'll stumble and things like that. And there's truth to that. Like, I don't want to say that there's not at all, but like, why, if that's all we're doing, if all we're doing is just putting ourselves around people that are like us, then
It's a bubble.
how can we then be influential in other environments?
Correct. And I'm glad you realized that, because like I wasn't like I knew about Jesus. I didn't know who Jesus was and like what he did for me, and I didn't really know him. I just knew what they told me. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
and there's a big difference in that. So I'm really glad that you realized that before we met, because then therefore like you had an influence on me. So like that's so good that you bring that up.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I want to bring it up, is because I think that like I was able to like, and I learned over the years that, you know what, like just because people aren't maybe thinking or doing things the same way that I am, doesn't mean that I still can't laugh and have a good time and like, go hang out with people that are friends of mine that maybe aren't like Christians,
But they're still good people.
And they're still great people, dude.
Yeah.
Like, people like, and I can still go to like, when you're confident, and that's why I said put that, when you're confident in who you are and like, and what you believe in, and you're relatable, and you're able to say, you know what, like I can go to, to a party, and I can hang out with some friends, and I can, as long as I'm not stumbling or not like doing things that I shouldn't, I can still like have conversations and just be like, yo man, I just wanted to, like, it's your birthday, I just wanted to come out and just like, just hang out with you, bro, and just like celebrate you. And you don't have to stay, you don't have to go out, and like get wasted and stay out till 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not talking like that's like the way you need to be able to relate to people, is like, you got to do what they do. Like, I'm just saying, like, you don't have to like just be like, oh, like I'm a Christian, I don't need to do that stuff, or I don't do that stuff, because then you really can't, that those types of conversations that like we've had, that I've had with other friends, they're missed. Like, you're not going to have them.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm like kind of going off like on
no, I think this is good. I think this is important, because also it's kind of like, it kind of reminded me of like, you don't have to lift, you don't have to bench press, but as long as you're in the gym with everybody else, you're still kind of relatable. You want to just, you can go do your own, you can do your own thing in life, like when you're away from those people, but as long as you're in the gym with them, you're having that impact with them, so, and it's just so important, because there's so many people that they just like, they don't dispute Jesus. They don't refuse him. They just don't know him, dude. Like, there's so much misinformation. There's so much watered down gospel in the churches that like, it's crazy to me that it took me coming to Texas to actually have like the truth, and I went to church. I met my wife in church, bro. And we went to church every Sunday for like 4 years or 3 years. I went for 4 years. She went for the 3 she was living down there with me. And man, I felt like I love Jesus, but I didn't really know. There was a huge disconnect of like truth. There was a huge disconnect. It was more of like, I always felt like I was getting sold Jesus, instead of just told what he did. And I don't like that, because I'm one of those people. Like, I went to the mall today and this lady tried to sell me stuff that I didn't want. You know what I mean? And I gotta be like, I'm not doing it. I'm not buying it. I mean, if you come down like a lot, I'll buy it. But like, I'm not buying it for that price. And she came down.
Yeah.
So me and my son got a couple necklaces, which is cool. But yeah, man, it's just interesting, because like without people like you, that those people might not be reached. Like you're planting a seed, like without even realizing it, just by who you are in your life.
Yeah, and I'll be the first one to say, like, I made a lot of mistakes. Oh heck yeah, I've made a ton of mistakes. I haven't always, led by example. I haven't always done or said the right thing, and I haven't always, like put God first in the sense of like how I'm carrying myself. And I'm aware of that, and and I think that's one of the great things, is that we can always be, trying to push ourselves closer to God. And so I don't want to like come off and say that like, I don't want to try to come off as like, oh, I got it all figured out, or that, I know, like I make a ton of mistakes in regards to this topic, even with friends. Like there's so many, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up like that example from high school, is because like, just as much as like, it's great for me to like have friends, like for example, like after our wedding, I had like some high school buddies. I had so many people hit me up and just say, man, like your wedding was so fun. Thanks for inviting me. But like, man, I like you really encouraged me to like want to like get closer to God and to want to find a wife, and like, and put God first in my relationship and different things like that. And that wasn't even our intention. That was just like,
You're
just who we are. And
yeah.
But like, just as memorable and as impactful as like people like that and like situations like that are for me, the contrary is almost even more. It's those scenarios where I'm like, man, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I came off that way to somebody. I can't believe that I was like, so like either arrogant, or I was so like insecure in my beliefs that I came off that way, and that I like thought I was better, or that I was above people. And so like, and I've had plenty of those scenarios too. And so, I think that as I've gotten older and matured more, and like learned, about myself, and I learned about, who I am and all that, like I've learned to like really value, just being relatable to people, and not, thinking that like I'm above anybody else, or that just because I'm a Christian that doesn't mean I can't go to lunch or go to a party or hang out with a bunch of people that like have a completely different set of beliefs as I do. In fact, those types of conversations actually really strengthen me and like make me like want to learn more about what it is that I believe, which is great. So
yeah, it's a never ending pursuit. And what do you mean by being expectant?
So, I think I put that at like, as like a third, like, I guess, I don't want to say like bullet point, but like kind of like a leading, like first be confident, then be relatable, and then be expectant. I think that like right now with everything going on, like I think people are like mentally really going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean it like, I think that in like a negative way. I think people are really struggling mentally, like anxiety and all these mental like issues I think are like becoming more and more common. I think that negativity and just like that type of mindset about like the world and people and things like that are becoming more and more popular. And I think that what that shows me is that people aren't like, and I almost put like be optimistic, but I think that like when you really like have faith in God, I think there's a level of expectancy that you have that like he's going to provide, that you're going to be okay, that like this is just a season, or hey, like through this all you're going to become a better person, or you're going to learn about like something that maybe you need, or you're going to go through something that you need to. Like I think that type of mindset of like, you know what, like I expect God to do big things. I expect there to be fruit to come out of this, whatever it is. I think people are like missing that. I think especially our generation, people are really missing that.
Because
Like
our lives have been so easy, and
dude,
like this is the only time it's ever been hard. And it's like, where's your mind at during this time? What are you doing? Like, are you bettering your life? Are you forming better habits? Are you
yeah.
are you online, like spreading negativity, and it seems that that's the way it is. And it also seems like that's kind of like what, I don't want to get all conspiracy theory on you, but it seems like that's what they want. They want you to be divisive right now. They want you to feel like this and feel like that. They're like controlling the way we feel, not only the things we do, so it's just getting more and more like it's trickling down, dude. And I think they're really targeting the youth, because the youth's life has been so easy so far, and things are just already swaying into like technology over everything. And they're really like abusing that to get monetary gains, I feel like, and I just really feel like, man, the world needs Jesus now more than ever. And I hope that this podcast helps. I hope just me and my life helps. I hope that just the pursuit that I'm on helps. I hope it's a never-ending health, growth. And I think that connecting with people like you, and then you going out in your circles and connecting with other people is just it's gonna help that, you know, on a bigger level than we think, you know, and on a life and an eternal level, you know.
Yep, dude. And I know you don't even have to tell me, but I know for a fact that your podcasts have already influenced people.
Yeah.
And I know you know that. So like, that's awesome. Like I'm excited for you and for this podcast. And, you know, I'm going to be expectant that it's going to continue to do that. And, you know, I'm going to be very hopeful that even the conversation that we have, that hopefully it connects with people, and that, you know, like, I don't want to sound preachy at all. I just really want to be like, when I was thinking about like friendships, like I didn't want it to be so focused on like just the importance of having Christian friends, because
Right.
that's super important, you know, it is. But I want people to be able to hear this and be like, you know what, like I need to be able to like, to not be so like in like the words of like politics, be like I don't want to identify my friends with just based off of like what type of religion they have, you know, or like what they do with their free time. And so I think that's super important for people and for friendships in general, because I have a lot of friends too that aren't Christians.
Yeah.
But like going back to what you said in the beginning, like, but my circle, like my tight group, the people that are my ride or dies, like those are like people that I have the type of conversations that like have helped me get out of like really tough times, are the friends that like know my heart and that are able to relate with my heart and like share the same desire to like honor God as me. And so I think it's through those types of friendships that I'm able to get on a deeper level than I haven't been able to get with some of my non-believing friends.
Mm-hmm.
But my non-believers, if you want to call them that, like those friendships are just as important for so many other reasons, you know? So like just the whole idea of like friendships, regardless of like where they're at in their faith, or if they even have faith, is just like, to me, it's really important. I know it's important to you. Like, I know that you're really big on friendships too. So, yeah, man, I mean, even you reaching out to me and like saying, hey, I wanted to talk about this and I wanted you to share this too. Like even you doing that made me realize like I need to step up.
And that concludes the conversation. And I thought that was the best way to end that, because man, it just, hearing Wes say that I make him want to step up, man, he makes me want to step up. Like, he's always made me want to step up just organically. Like, when I'm around him, his spirit just resonates like Jesus, man. And it made me want to be like, man, I want to know what he knows, you know? And so I just think it's so valuable to keep people in your life that do believe in Jesus, that do give you that encouragement and those deep talks and that heart and just that spirit that they walk with, you know? And it's also important to keep the people that don't believe, because you influence them so much that later in life they'll come around and they'll have these conversations like me and Wes just had. And it's so beautiful. It's so important. And I really hope you guys enjoyed the first guest. And if you're here for Wes, man, I encourage you to stick around, subscribe, and check out the future episodes or the past episodes. They've all been really fun and just educational and growing in our faith together. And I just really appreciate Wes taking the time to do this, man. We had a great phone conversation. I'm super glad we did that, man. It was like great to see my buddy and just talk about Jesus, man. So we got more guests coming soon. Stick around, share the show, share the episode if you enjoyed it. Check out my boy Wes Rasmussen at lifeofwar.co. He's a great writer and a great friend and a great son of God. So I appreciate you guys. Take care. Enjoy your weekend coming up. All right. Cheers.